Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of my podcast, Explore and Engage with Anam. I love reading books like many of you do out there. I know that finding time to read a book may be somewhat of a challenge given that people are busy with work and family obligations. Young professionals, as they work on building a career, may not find enough time to read. At the same time, people are actually reading quite a bit, but mostly on their phones and tablets. Things people read on social media, things on the internet, online news, blogs, and much more. But having a book in hand and turning the pages of a book is an amazing feeling. It's something I have enjoyed since my childhood. I started creating my own library when I was a young boy. One book after another, I started collecting books, reading them, and making them part of my library. From British literature to Bengali mystery, books from Tintin comic books, encyclopedias, and books on history and geography, I enjoyed a wide variety of reading materials. I read the works of Satyajit Ray, Rabindranath Tagore, Charles Dickens, John Keats, Lord Tennyson, and many others. As I grew older, I started developing an interest in mythology, mostly Greek and Roman, as well as ancient pre-Socratic philosophy. Here's what's interesting. During my teen years, I also started exploring astrology. Yes, astrology. And I'll talk about that more in a minute. So my library kept expanding with more and more books. Most of my books are in Bangladesh as I came and settled down here in the United States. I was able to bring a few books with me to America. And in the United States, I started creating a new library, which now includes lots of books on public policy, politics, and history. As I was reorganizing my little library several days ago, I decided to revisit some of my old astrology books. And astrology is something that we don't hear much about. You hear a lot about astronomy, but not so much about astrology. From my observation, I can say that there are many who do not believe in astrology. And those who believe in this field of study may not talk about it much in public. A lot of people tend to think that astrology is about predicting the future. That is not entirely accurate. I think astrology helps a person learn about one's strengths and weaknesses, as well as to understand one's purpose in life. We are born with certain potential. We have different God-given talents, and some of that may be pretty obvious. And there may be other talents within us that we have to explore, and astrology can help us do that. God has created the planets and other celestial bodies in the universe and has created elements, fire, air, water, and earth. The force of gravity and the passage of time are part of the great creation. Just as the moon affects the tides here on earth, the movements of the planets and other bodies in space also affect our lives. Astrology simply helps us understand these forces and movements. It is a field of study that helps us examine our place in the universe. I read various books on astrology when I was a student. I had tremendous interest in the subject, and I still do. The more I studied, the more I realized that there's an enormous sea of knowledge left to explore. Having spent time studying astrology, I can tell you that to understand astrology, you have to know a lot about other things such as ancient mythology, philosophy, psychology, as well as history. You need to know a wide variety of other things outside of astrology in order to properly understand astrology. So there are many astrology books that are part of my personal library, and recently I revisited some of those books. And here is what I want to know. How many of you out there have an interest in astrology and want to know more about it? Just connect with me on social media and let me know. I thank you all for listening, and I hope to be back again with another episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.